Welcome to another episode of Horror Stories, where I share with you the most terrifying tales of terror and suspense. I'm your host, Andrew, and today I have a very special story for you. This story is literally horrible. I always loved listening to podcasts. They were my escape from reality, my source of entertainment and education. I subscribed to dozens of podcasts, from comedy to crime, from history to horror. But there was one podcast that stood out from the rest. It was called The Dark Hour, and it featured stories of true paranormal encounters, narrated by the people who experienced them. The stories were chilling, captivating, and sometimes hard to believe. But I loved them. I loved the thrill of hearing about ghosts, demons, and other things that go bump in the night. I was so obsessed with the podcast that I decided to contact the host, a man named Ryan. I wanted to tell him how much I enjoyed his show and how I wished I could be a guest on it. I had a story of my own, a story that I never told anyone before, a story that still haunted me to this day. I sent him an email telling him briefly about my story. It was about the time I stayed at a haunted hotel and encountered something evil in room 13. I told him that I had proof, a recording of the incident that I made with my phone. I asked him if he was interested in hearing more. He replied almost immediately. He said he was very interested and that he wanted to interview me for his next episode. He asked me to send him the recording and to call him on Skype. He gave me his username and told me to be ready at 10 p.m. I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe that I was going to be on my favorite podcast. I couldn't wait to share my story with the world. I quickly transferred the recording from my phone to my laptop and sent it to him. Then I opened Skype and added him as a contact. At 10 p.m., he called me. I answered and saw his face on the screen. He looked exactly like his profile picture, a handsome man with dark hair and blue eyes. He smiled and greeted me. "Hello, this is Ryan from The Dark Hour. Is this Sam?" "Yes, hi Ryan. I'm so glad to talk to you." "Me too, Sam. Thank you for contacting me. I listened to your recording and I have to say, it's one of the most terrifying things I've ever heard. Can you tell me more about it?" "Sure, I'll tell you everything. But first, can I ask you something?" "Of course. What is it?" "Can you turn on your light? It's kind of dark in your room and I can barely see you." He laughed and said, "Sadie, I like to keep it dark when I record. It sets the mood, you know. But don't worry, I can see you just fine. And you look lovely, by the way." I felt a blush on my cheeks and thanked him. He was very charming and I felt a connection with him. Maybe this was the start of something more than just a podcast interview. He asked me to start from the beginning and I did. I told him how I booked a room at the hotel, which was rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a woman who killed herself in room 13. I told him how I was curious and asked the receptionist if I could stay in that room. I told him how she warned me not to, but I insisted. I told him how I checked in and went to my room. I told him how I felt a strange vibe as soon as I entered the room. How the air was cold and heavy and the walls were stained with dark spots. How the furniture was old and creaky and the bed was covered with a dirty sheet. How the only window was boarded up and the only light came from a dim lamp. I told him how I decided to record everything just in case something happened. How I set up my phone on a tripod and pressed the record button. How I sat on the bed and tried to communicate with the spirit. I told him how I asked questions like, "Are you here?" and "What is your name?" How I waited for a response but heard nothing. How I started to feel bored and disappointed. I told him how I was about to give up and turn off the recording when I heard a voice. A voice that was not mine. A voice that was not human. A voice that said, "Hello, Sam. I've been waiting for you." I told him how I froze and felt a chill down my spine. How I looked around, but saw no one. How I realized that the voice came from the phone. I told him how I grabbed the phone and looked at the screen. How I saw a face that was not mine. A face that was not human. A face that was pale and twisted, with hollow eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. A face that smiled wickedly and said, "Hello, Sam. I've been waiting for you." I told him how I screamed and threw the phone across the room. How I ran to the door and tried to open it. How I found it locked and heard a laugh. A laugh that was not mine. A laugh that was not human. A laugh that said, "Hello, Sam. I've been waiting for you." I told him how I banged on the door and shouted for help. How I heard footsteps outside and felt a surge of hope. How I heard a knock and a voice that was not mine. A voice that was not human. A voice that said, "Hello, Sam. I've been waiting for you." I told him how I realized that it was the same voice, the same face, the same laugh. How I realized that it was not a ghost, but something worse. Something that could mimic anyone, anything. Something that could trap me and torture me. Something that wanted me. I told him how I fell to the floor and curled up in a corner. How I cried and prayed. How I wished it would end. I told him how it didn't end. How it never ended. I told him how it's still happening. How I'm still here. How I'm still trapped. I told him how I'm still waiting. Waiting for someone to save me. Waiting for someone like him. I finished my story and looked at him. He looked shocked and scared. He looked at me with pity and horror. He looked at me and said, "Sam, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that this happened to you. I'm so sorry that you're still suffering. I'm so sorry that I can't help you." He looked at me and said, "Sam, I have to tell you something. Something that you won't like. Something that you won't believe." He looked at me and said, "Sam, this is not a podcast. This is not an interview. This is not real." He looked at me and said, "Sam, this is a trap. A trap that I set for you. A trap that I made for you." He looked at me and said, "Sam, I'm not Ryan. I'm not the host of The Dark Hour. I'm not a human." He looked at me and said, "Sam, I'm the one who haunts room 13. I'm the one who killed the woman. I'm the one who lured you in." He looked at me and said, "Sam, I'm the one who's been waiting for you." He looked at me and smiled. A smile that was not human. A smile that was pale and twisted, with hollow eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. A smile that said, "Hello, Sam. I've been waiting for you." He lunged at me and I screamed. That was the last thing I ever did. It was a dark and stormy night. I was driving alone on a deserted road, trying to get home as fast as possible. The rain was pouring down, making it hard to see anything. The only light came from the occasional flashes of lightning. I turned on the radio to keep myself awake, but all I could hear was static and some faint voices. I tried to tune into a different station, but nothing worked. I felt a chill run down my spine, as if someone was watching me. Suddenly, I saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. It looked like a woman, wearing a white dress and holding a lantern. She had long black hair that covered her face. She didn't move, even when I honked my horn. I slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. I hit her with full force and heard a loud thud. I got out of the car, trembling with fear. I expected to see a bloody mess, but there was nothing. No body, no lantern, no trace of the woman. I looked around, but the road was empty. I felt a cold hand touch my shoulder, and I turned around. There she was, standing behind me. She lifted her head, and I saw her face. It was pale and twisted, with hollow eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. She smiled wickedly and said in a raspy voice, "Hello, my dear. I've been waiting for you." She lunged at me and I screamed. That was the last thing I ever did. I don't know how long I've been here, in this dark and cold place. I can't see anything, but I can hear her laughter. She tortures me every day with her words and her teeth. She tells me stories of how she killed many others, just like me. She says she's lonely and she wants me to stay with her forever. She says she loves me, but I know she doesn't. She's a monster, a demon, a ghost. She's the woman in white, the one who haunts this road. She's the one who lures unsuspecting travelers and feeds on their fear and pain. She's the one who killed me, and she won't let me go. All right, I will try to write more of the story. Here is the next part. Sometimes she leaves me alone for a while. She says she has to go and find more victims, more souls to join us. She says she'll be back soon, and she warns me not to try anything. But I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand her presence, her voice, her touch. I can't stand this hell. I have to escape. I don't know how, but I have to try. Maybe there's a way out of this place, a way back to the living world. Maybe there's a chance for me to be free. I wait until she's gone, and then I start to look around. I can't see much, but I can feel the walls, the floor, the ceiling. They're cold and rough, like stone. I wonder if this is some kind of cave or a tomb. I crawl along the wall, hoping to find a door, a window, anything. I don't know how long I've been searching, but it feels like forever. I'm about to give up when I hear something. A sound, a faint, distant sound, a sound of a car. I follow the sound as it gets louder and clearer. I realize it's coming from above me, from the surface. I look up and I see a faint light. A light that pierces through the darkness. A light that gives me hope. I push myself up and I reach for the light. I feel a hole in the ceiling, a crack that leads to the outside. I try to squeeze through, but it's too small. I need to make it bigger. I use my hands, my nails, my teeth. I dig and scratch and bite. I don't care about the pain, the blood, the dirt. I only care about the light. I make the hole bigger and I pull myself out. I feel the rain on my face, the wind in my hair, the air in my lungs. I feel alive. I look around and I see the road. The same road where I died. The same road where she killed me. I see a car coming towards me. A car with a single driver. A driver who looks just like me. I realize it's him. It's me. It's the night I died. It's a loop. A loop that never ends. A loop that she created. A loop that she controls. She's playing with me. She's playing with us. She's playing with everyone. She's the woman in white. And she's coming for me. Again.